This is not going to be a full show today. This is an emergency broadcast, and this is truly an emergency. And we really, 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 really need everybody to get on this. This is an outrage against the Constitution, but beneficially, it's a clear demonstration of how the Department of Children and Family Services retaliates against anybody that wants to be an advocate for the families that they are victimizing. And so today, I'm working in the mountains and I get, a little bit of service. So I want to check and see what's going on. And the first thing I read is that attorney Connie Reguli of the Family Forward Project, who has been a warrior out there for families. I've known her for years. She's been a help and an aid to so many families, not only in her representation, but with her Family Forward Project. She's been out there on her own dime and her own time, traveling around this country, going to events, trying to educate people on the Title IV fraud of how they traffic children for federal incentives, help work on legislation to get this turned around. She is in the battle. And this isn't her first rodeo. This isn't the first time that they've tried to go after Connie, but this seems to be fairly blatant. And so on one hand, it's a blessing because we're getting an opportunity for people to see why it's so hard for attorneys to get engaged in this process, because it puts them in jeopardy. And so what we're going to need from you, we're going to bring Connie on here in just a second, and we need you guys to share this video. Okay, we're going to share a YouTube link when this is done, and you can send this to local Tennessee media. You can send this to representatives, because tomorrow, I believe at 10 a.m., Connie has to turn herself in to the police department to be arrested. But you don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from Connie. So let's bring Connie on right now, and let's hear from her. How are you doing today, Connie?
Hey, hello. Well, I was just trying to tag a few people and put it on a few timelines so we could snatch some people in here really quick. And thank you for taking some time out of your day and just jumping on this. I really, really appreciate it. And, I don't know whether to feel more like Roger Stone or, whatever, right? So at least they didn't like surround my house at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I will say I got a very kind phone call, as much as it could be kind, that said, well, we did have an open investigation, so we have some warrants now for your arrest and wanted to find out about you turning yourself in so we don't have to storm your office and your home. So I do have to say that at least I got a phone call, which I appreciate. And I will tell them that I appreciate that in the morning. So I'm going tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. To turn myself in. Now, I want you to understand, y'all folks, I've never broken the law. I have never been arrested for nothing. I'm 67 years old. I mean, never had a DUI, never had anything criminal, never had a single criminal charge. And here we are because I tried to get a parent due process, which means notice and opportunity to be heard. I am now going to be criminally charged for that. And that's really what this amounts to.
So let's back it up just a little bit, because this may be the first time people are hearing about this type of behavior from these agencies. And yeah, we appreciate that they gave you a kind phone call. I'm sure after this interview, they might not be as generous in the future, but we're going to try to stop them from ever doing this again. But why don't you tell people a little bit about what you do and your activism, and then let's jump right in it and let's talk about those charges.
Yeah, thanks. Well, for people who haven't seen me, it's Connie Reguli. I think you've got it posted up there, my name. You can go to YouTube and type in Connie Reguli, and you're going to get a whole line of videos that shows me doing events in different states. It's going to show me in DC. It's going to show me interviewing other people. It's going to show local newscasts and it's going to show me at government public forums. Just in February this year, I went and I spoke to our committee, our House committee on, which is supposed to be the oversight committee of Department of Children's Services. I spoke to them. I went and I met with every member of that committee personally. I met with a dozen other people. I told them that the system is so broken and that parents' rights are being violated, that nobody will stand up for them. There's no oversight. There's nobody looking over their shoulder. I've been an attorney for 25 years. I know the law. I know what constitutional rights are for parents, and I have been a thorn in their side. And now this particular case that they are using is one in which they got an ex parte order, and we'll talk more about that as we talk about the charges. That they use and abuse ex parte process, which means no hearing. They're going to take your kids, no hearing.
And so, if you can, tell us a little bit about the case that they're angry about and the outcome and what you think led to them trying to come after you criminally.
Right. So I represent a mom in DeKalb County, which is about an hour and a half away from where I live. It's out in the country. It's a smaller county. And I've known her for quite a few years. She's been harassed by the Department of Children's Services many, many times. They've gone to school, pulled her kids out of class, harassed her. In 2015, when they came after her, I represented her in court, and they dismissed the case with an email. I mean, once I got in the case and I said they were violating the Constitution and I was drilling them down to give me records and set the case for hearing, they sent me an email and said the case was dismissed. So fast forward then to 2017, she starts getting harassed again. This time, I call the DCS worker up on the phone and I record it. This is what pissed them off, though, in this case. I recorded it and I said, Dee Dee Miller, that's her name, Deandra Miller. I says, I want you to know I represent this mom, and you are not to call her again. You are to call me. And she goes, I don't think I can talk to you. And she hung up on me. I posted that recording on our Facebook group, Family Forward Project. I put it up there that this is what it's like to talk to a DCS worker when you have counsel. And so then in the summer of 2018, there had been a referral on her again. I called the caseworker again. This time she doesn't even take my call, but I left a message and I said that there is, I understand you're doing an investigation. I left some kind of message, which I also recorded and preserved, that understand you're doing an investigation. You need to call me so we can set up a meeting, we can set up a time. The policies of DCS in this state is you are to try to prevent removal by having a meeting with the parent and see if you can create a safety plan. And that is what I intended to do. Let's have a meeting, let's get together, let's try to sort out what's going on. I reached out to them. There's no dispute about that. They ultimately admitted that. I reached out to them. She had a meeting, she had talked to a detective. I called the detective and I say, don't talk to my client again without me present. And he said, okay. And I said, is there any emergency that I need to know about? This is on a Friday, August the 10th. Of 2018. I said, is there any emergency situation I need to know about? And he said, no. On Monday morning, I start calling the clerk's office, say, is there anything filed against my client? Is there anything I need to know? Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, no, no. We know what case you're talking about. No, 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 there's not. Finally, I make one last phone call. I think I can't remember actually if I ended up calling late Monday afternoon or early Tuesday morning. I would have to go look at those records again. But I make one more phone call and they say, yeah, they came in and filed something they filed it at 3:43 p.m. on Monday. 3:43 p.m. They close at freaking 4 o'clock, right? And I say, can you fax it to me? They say, sure. So I wait and I wait and I wait and I wait. Call them back. No, we can't fax it to you. I said, so you mean I got to drive an hour and a half to come and pick it up? And they're like, yeah, well, you'll have to come here and pick it up. So I have to take off a whole half a day to drive out there. They had not served my client. I didn't know at that time, but they had already had another hearing behind her back. They didn't call her and tell her they had a hearing. They didn't call her and tell her they had filed anything. They did everything ex parte. ex parte. And so then I told her,
it happens all the time, right?
it happens all the time. And so I told her, I'm going to,
sorry, go ahead. You told
yeah, so I told her, I need to, we just need to figure out what's going on. Let me try to get us a court date. Because remember, they're supposed to have a court hearing within 72 hours when they snatch kids. And I didn't know at the time, because even when I did get the paperwork, and it hadn't shown me that they had had a hearing. And then I find out that not even the judge in that county signed the order, that they took it to another county and got an order signed by a judge who is not even the county judge. And when I said, where's the order for recusal? Where's the recusal on this? And they're like, well, I don't think there is one. I think they just called the court. I mean, I have so many recordings in this. I have the detective recorded. I have the DCS worker recorded. I have the clerk recorded, saying there is no order of recusal, and yet they carried it off to another county. And then I find out later in the proceeding, the DCS attorney did not even go. This DCS worker, Deandra Dee Miller, she carried that petition to another county herself and got an ex parte order before it was even filed with the court. And let me tell you why that's so important. Because a court document, I got some here, I can't show them if somebody else has, but a court document, hang on here, is nothing but a piece of paper until it's filed with the court. It is nothing but a freaking piece of paper until it has a stamp file by the court clerk on it. And they carried that petition to another county, not filed with the court. I can't imagine these kangaroo courts, this donkey justice that's going on. There is not another type of litigation that goes through this. If I have a contract case and I want to go get a restraining order against somebody or some other business, I have to file the document with the court, and then it goes to the judge, and then the judge makes a decision. This being able to cart your documents off by DCS workers to another county under the claim that they've got some freaking emergency, it has got to stop. I posted yesterday that people need to get mad, and they better start getting mad.
Sure. And part of that is because these courts operate in secrecy, and this is where we as Americans need to be careful about the power we give to these court systems. They do it under the guise of protecting children, but have you seen these courts abuse this power besides the ex parte activity that they're doing, but in terms of just hiding their criminal behavior? Do you see that these secrecy laws are being utilized to manipulate the legal process?
Absolutely. It's due process. I mean, it is notice and the opportunity to be heard. It is a constitutional right to be able to parent your children and to do so in a safe and secure home without the interference with the government. And they abuse the ex parte process all the time, over and over. And they're walking in. I mean, I had somebody else walk into my office today from Sevierville. They drove all the way 3.5 hours away to come over here and show me the ex parte that had been taken and where they removed their child with an ex parte order on the concern that she might not be getting the right type of treatment, on the concern. I mean, wow. It's people have got to wrap their head around this. It is money driven. It is a bureaucracy that is feasting on our children. It is feasting on our kids, and we have got to put our foot down, and we've got to go after them.
And so, just for people that aren't, legal experts, and tell me if I'm right in understanding this. I've done a little bit of pro se work, but basically, if I'm going to communicate with the court or file a motion, there has to be some mutual interaction between me and the defendants and their representative. I just can't march in and talk to the judge by myself. Now, if I do something like that, if I feel there's an emergency, then I can do this ex parte action, which basically means I'm going to the court without notifying anybody because it's an emergency situation. Is that correct?
That's correct. And the legal theory of it comes from basically restraining orders. If you look back historically at law, it would be, if somebody stole your donkey, you know, or your slave, I mean, the law goes back that far where you could go get a restraining order ex parte because of it's an emergency. There is a risk of irreparable harm before a court hearing can be held. That's the legal standard. That's the standard that they're supposed to be making under oath. And they're making these ex parte orders on anonymous tips, on vague allegations that they have no substance. They're doing no investigation. I mean, they made allegations that mom was a drug dealer. They never showed mom was a drug dealer. So, and let's talk about what happened. So that was last August. The kids are home, and the kids are home with mom, and DCS dismissed their case. They dismissed their case against her.
Right?
What?
That happened recently, correct?
Yes. And the reason, I mean, I filed 4 different complaints with the Department of Children's Services, showed them all the violations. They had taken these children, they had shipped them 300 miles away in foster homes in which there was needles and bars on the windows and in a culturally inappropriate setting that was totally not the family setting that foster care was supposed to be. They have been in 6 placements in less than a year. They had been moved to respite homes, in different homes. They had been displaced again recently in May, where the foster mother said, I don't want them anymore. And these were kids who were told in about February that they were never going to go home. They told these kids they would never go home to their mom.
Yeah, and they do that a lot too. In my own case, when we finally got a chance to talk to our kids and hear the things that they were being told, that's how they manipulate the children. And then, as they tell them, you're never going home, your mom doesn't love you, don't you agree your mom doesn't love you? And then the kid shakes their head because they're confused.
Exactly.
In a court document, the kids say their mom doesn't love them. Like, they totally manipulate this process in these kids. So let's get to you, because we need to get you some help. We need to get this story out. So you defend this mom. You fight for her right to due process. You fight their manipulation of the legal process and her violation of due process rights. And you get those, by the grace of God, you get those kids home, and here comes the retaliation. You get a phone call.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they know in this case, it's a federal, it's got civil rights violations written all over it. I mean, it is a civil rights lawsuit waiting to happen. And in Tennessee, we have a very short statute of limitations on our civil rights actions. I've already got the complaint, about 80% drafted. So it's just it's just to throw a ringer in it. It's a distraction. It's to steal my time where I need to be working for families and helping families and doing reform. It's just a distraction. So you know what? We're going to make it a distraction for everybody. And, when we have a preliminary hearing, I'll get cameras in the courtroom and we'll videotape it, and we're going to put it up. And I'm going to have my opportunity to cross-examine some of these people, including the judges, the caseworkers, the police officers. And, we'll get them up there and we'll start doing some cross-examination as to whether or not, they had a valid interest in what they did in the first place, because there was never a finding that this mom was a drug dealer. And that was their whole basis for running off and snatching these kids.
And putting them through a living hell. And I've found in our own activism that seems to be a common theme. For instance, in the state of Kansas, when our reports came out as unsubstantiated for abuse or neglect, they came out publicly in the news and said, oh, that doesn't even matter. 96% of our cases are unsubstantiated for abuse or neglect. Ha ha ha, we just get all the free reign to wreck anybody's life and nobody can do anything.
Exactly.
And so what are they trying to charge you with, Connie? And what can people do to help?
Okay, so as I said, I had a very nice police officer call me today, and I don't know all of it because I don't have them in front of me. My understanding is they're also charging mom, so I've got to get mom to drive all the way over here from DeKalb. Now her case is dismissed. Remember, her case is dismissed, and I've got to get her to drive all the way over here from DeKalb County because I told her I wanted to take her with me so that they didn't try to go arrest her in DeKalb County, and she'll have to go with me. And then they're charging her with custodial interference, and they're going to charge me with facilitating a crime, accessory to a crime. I mean,
custodial interference when she has the kids back in her custody, and now all of a sudden they've decided her fighting for her rights is custodial interference.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
I just really, really, really encourage people to hear this. This is reality, and this is why I have seen it's hard to get people, politicians, attorneys, professionals engaged in fighting this trafficking, because when you win, this is what they do.
Yeah, here's another reason they're mad at me. So I record everything. I have Olympus digital recorders that plug into your computer. I carry them with me all the time. I lay them down on the desk. There's no secret. Everybody knows it. When I go in a courtroom, I lay a recorder on the table. So when we had a hearing on February the 26th, I've got my recorders out on the table. We take a short break to do something, and I left my recorder on. I just left it on. I didn't turn it off as I walked out. I came back in, no big deal. We finished whatever we're doing. Well, I get back to my office, I'm downloading my audios, and I was trying to find something on my audio. And so I pull up my audio, and I realized what I've done about keeping it on. Well, during the break, the DCS attorney and the DCS workers were talking smack about me, along with the court officer, the judge's court officer who works for the sheriff's department, was talking smack about me and my client, sitting over there giggling and laughing about it. And I posted that as well. I put that on my SoundCloud. And, they are livid about that. They're absolutely livid that they're basically saying the barrier to reunification is Connie Reguli. Well, that shows you that it was personal right then. That's February the 22nd, that this was a personal vendetta, the DCS worker. And let me tell you, this was a mom. I had filed those complaints. We were getting ready to go to a brand new trial in circuit court. And the DCS worker on a phone call, mom went from supervised visitation to a phone call from the DCS attorney that said, okay, well, if we can just get mom's certificate, we'll send the kids home. I mean, I had those to her within 24 hours, and they had the kids home within 2 days. She went from supervised visitation and supervised phone calls to we're sending the kids home, case closed. So now what does that tell you about their case? Surely she wasn't too dangerous of a mom if they're closing her case and they're not even going to go knock on her door to see if the kids are okay.
Now, do you think this attempt at charging her could be another way to get the kids back in their custody? Arrest mom and then say the kids are unsupervised and try to open the case.
I'm going to swallow really hard because exactly that's the kind of thing they would try to do. That's exactly what they would try to do. Now we can go retaliate against mom. Again, now we can put these poor children through hell again. Of course they'll try. That's just what they do. I mean, they are so power hungry. Their brains are so twisted. They have lost all sense of reality. And they are also, I mean, they have the licensing boards all after me because I talk bad about the judiciary and I talk bad about how these court cases go. There were some parents that wanted to go speak out someplace. And I had said, you know what, it's a county court, go to the county commission. And some of the parents wanted to go to the county commission, and we went down there and we told 8 stories to the county commission. And now they want to think I should be disbarred because those people talk poorly about the court, and I'm not allowed to talk poorly about the court because I'm an attorney. That's how twisted this is.
Wow. And so talking bad about the court means you're exposing the injustice, you're exposing the violations of due process, and it's just not acceptable for someone that's an attorney to expose their dirty secrets. It's really incredible. And again, I'm going to encourage people, share this video. We need to get this information out tomorrow at 11 o'clock in Tennessee. This attorney that fights for families and helped get this mom's kids back that have been through hell is going to jail. And so what can people do to support you, Connie? What can they do to help this situation?
Well, I am, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to turn myself in. They've already told me that they're going to ROR me, which, I can't be that dangerous of a
Which
criminal.
means what?
Release on recognizance.
Okay,
So,
so on your own
right,
without having to post. Okay,
right,
so
without a bond.
you're real dangerous.
Yeah, I'm real dangerous. So they've already, now who knows, they could trick me tomorrow and change their mind, but I mean, that's what I was told. So it's ROR. And so, but I have to go through the whole processing, it takes them 4 hours to do processing. They'll do my little mug shot, they'll put me on, they have like this paper now, right, where who's been arrested. So, I'll get my little photo in the local arrest, and I'm sure they'll, they'll do some print about it because, people love me or hate me, and those that hate me want to run with it. So they'll be running with it. And I've already got a news station. They're going to wrap up a whole story about it regarding, they're going to try to get a little video coverage tomorrow, but we need to show that, attorneys stick up for parents, and this is what happens to them. We just wanted due process. We just wanted a flipping hearing, and I'll tell you, years ago, I had a mom, she had a 9-month-old baby. They'd come after her. The baby had a little injury on his leg. And, I tried to, in that case, go to court and said, I want a hearing. You shouldn't be taking this baby on an ex parte order. And they said, you've got to turn the baby over before we give you a hearing. And that was a 9-month-old baby. And they put the mom in jail on that one and would not let her out until I turned over the baby. Would not let mom out of jail. There was no immediate danger. As a matter of fact, the injury they had known about for 6 weeks before they went and got an ex parte order on her. And I went and I saw mom in the prison, and I said, I have to give them the baby. They'll never let you out of here. And I'm going to tell you that the dad met me with the baby. I carried the baby into that courthouse. And that baby who was asleep woke up and saw those strangers standing over him. And it was the most frightening scream I have ever heard from a baby. And it was heart-wrenching. It was horrible. And so when I said to this mom, I'm like, let me try to get you a hearing. I know how much damage it's going to be to your children. I mean, that people want to talk about, whine and cry about immigration and family separation at the freaking border. You need to be looking around your neighborhood, because enough is enough. And, I'll talk about, they complain that I call it donkey justice and kangaroo court. But I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to say right here, it is the United States Supreme Court who first used the word kangaroo court in Ray Galt in the 70s. Because of the way the juvenile court system treated children.
Well, and people need to understand that these agencies are also capitalizing on this crisis at the border. We have thousands of missing immigrant children. From my understanding, they're adopting some of these kids out. They're maximizing federal incentives in any way that they can get it. So if people really care about the immigrant crisis and immigrant children, you really need to take a look at what the Department of Children and Families under the Department of Health and Human Services is doing, because they're making money hand over fist out of your Social Security fund. Title IV of the Social Security Act is where all that money's coming out of, and they're just finding ways to drain it dry while trafficking human beings, both foreign and American, and they're even trafficking American children out of the country.
Right.
It is insanity. So if
I want to tell you, and I want to tell you, and I see you have the logo up there, our Facebook group is Family Forward Project. It is a public group. There's about 12,000 members nationwide. It's the best forum I have found for right now, because I work full time. I can't, there's a lot of things I can't manage right now, but it is nationwide. We have about 10 different states that have a leader, a person in that state. People need to get involved. People need to be willing to speak up and move forward with this. And, like I said, I just posted the other day, I posted from the movie about, about being mad, you need to be mad. And a lot of people were watching that. And then I posted the audio from 1965 of the recording about "If I Were the Devil" by you know who I mean, the Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey, yeah, I saw
Paul
that.
Harvey's "If I Were the Devil." I mean, and he talks about it, about the destruction of families, and he says the very same thing. So here we are, and we have. And what I also want to tell you is in Family Forward, I do live videos. I have several. I have about 45 in the announcements. And the other thing I pointed out just recently is I just discovered.
Whoa, what just happened? Just a second, Connie.
We just lost her. Totally lost her.
Well, Connie, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Wow, you just froze out. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No, it wasn't you. It doesn't surprise me. I'm sure there's some attempts at interference. So you were finishing. You just were saying.
Yeah, I just want to, because so many things I've exposed here. I exposed that Governor Haslam appointed his friend Jim Henry to be the head of DCS while he had a $50 million contract with DCS. Just recently exposed that Tennessee has shipped 135 children out of the country for adoption, out of the United States. They have stripped these children of their American right to be raised as an American citizen and shipped them overseas for adoption. I mean, what is going on is outrageous.
It is very outrageous, Connie. Now, we're going to encourage people to, we're going to post a YouTube link. So this is live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube right now. Twitter, it's under Schwab Strong. We hold these truths under YouTube. Once we post the link for the YouTube, which will be done as soon as we finish this interview, we encourage people to send it to media representatives, send it to Tennessee representatives. Someone talked about contacting the Attorney General, Governor, you know, whatever you feel led to do to raise awareness to what they're doing to Connie. We have to put a stop to this, because one thing me and Connie were talking about earlier, if they can do this to her, they're going to come after people like me and everyone else that's out there advocating for these families. And they're going to say, your protesting interfered with our case, therefore
Absolutely
you committed a crime.
Right.
And so it is essential that when I said all hands on deck, I mean it. We need all hands on deck. We need to stop this dead in the water. And it's always my policy. This is what we operate by, that evil hates the light. And the best thing you could do to combat these people, because they're no different than any other criminal. You got a crack house in your neighborhood, they're not going to want you standing outside with a sign saying crack being sold here, arrest them. Same with child traffickers. When you start standing out there, when you start sharing these videos and get media involved, they start to panic. And I hope tomorrow they don't book you. I hope you get a phone call tonight saying, oh, we made a mistake, Connie.
Yeah, I know.
No, this ain't your first rodeo. You know they're trying to stop. But we are going to support you. I pray anyone that watches this video, please support Connie. If there's a media watching or somebody that wants to get a hold of you to get more information on this story or follow up tomorrow, how can they get a hold of you, Connie?
Well, you know, I'm pretty easy to find. With a name like Connie Reguli, you pretty much type it in Google and you're going to get a bunch of things, including my phone number. And my office number is 615-661-0122. And I mean, you know, a lot of people know me, so I'm sure as soon as they put my booking photo up there, I'll, you know, might be getting some phone calls as well for some media, and I'll follow up with that as well. So, but then I've got Fox 17 local, who's going to do a little bit more of a comprehensive story, and they've done stories for me in the past. So we got to run with it, guys. We got to run with it.
Okay, well, I'll let you close this out. Anything else you want to share, Connie?
No, just thank you. And thank you for reaching out to me and making this happen in an instant. And, you know, that's what we got to do.
Got it. We got to work together, because it's the only way we're going to defeat these people. And really proud of the work you're doing. It's an honor to work with you and to fight beside you. And so we'll be keeping a close eye on this, Connie. And if they don't let you out tomorrow, my wife already said, she was like, we got to fly down there right now. And I was like, calm down. We ain't going to do nothing in 24 hours. But I think if they keep you too long, Amelia might be there banging on the doors.
Yeah, exactly.
Tiny thing, but she's a firecracker. So we got a lot of people paying attention, and we'll be following up with you tomorrow. So good luck to you, and Godspeed, and God bless you, Connie.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
All right, Ted, we can close it out. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please share the video and join us for the next episode on Sunday of We Hold These Truths.
Bye.